Mosaic framework, Mosaic. I honestly don't know how to say it right, but Mosaic framework. What are some of the first of what is the business value that you see into the way that Databricks enables customers with it? Second, what are some of the use cases that you have seen, real life use cases that you've seen it have an impact on customers' bottom line?
Yeah, so I mean, some of the business value is just ties back into how it connects with the core, like their core data foundation that they have already set up, right? A lot of the Mosaic AI services have directly tie-ins and connectors to like the data that you're storing either in like DBFS or like your data delta table itself. And you can help like feed the like knowledge and context to the models directly from these connections that Databricks Mosaic leverages, right? And so that's just been extremely helpful when we have these very organization specific, company specific use cases that like general models, right, just don't solve the problem to. And we have to feed in context. We have to make it very we have to pre-train or fine-tune the model itself on that data so that it understands really the organization specific context it's working in. That's been like a critical that's been a critical business value that we've seen delivered from Mosaic and how it ties into what's already Databricks is already doing great in the platform. Some of the practical use cases that we've implemented, hedge funds in general, so where we have quite a little bit of experience in the hedge fund space itself, and we've started using Databricks Mosaic agent capabilities to basically take a question about a company or so a company within the portfolio of a hedge fund, and then basically tie into some live web analytics of current market sentiment and market news about those companies, and then also have tied in with their like historical performance that exists within that hedge fund's data warehouse, and then also tie into some of their data vendors that they have feeding into their data warehouse, and then also tie into some of their models that they have predicting the like the what the company is going to look like a quarter from fiscal quarter from now, and so help use all of those different sources of information, and by having different agents that are experts on those different sources of information, and then that overall Mosaic agent framework, we've been able to then leverage this to the insights from these different areas, and then come back with consolidated responses. That's just like been one of the use cases, and it's been applied in the hedge fund space, but it's really about how we can have purpose-built agents that are experts on the different data that they work with, tie back into one consolidated business value use case.
That, again, lots of stuff out there about agents, but we're still struggling with LLM hallucinations, right?
Yeah,
Within the context of agents in particular, right? With agents having, being connected to functions and whatnot more autonomously, if you will. How do you handle and how do you work with Databricks' tooling to handle hallucinations, right? Because you don't want to make a costly mistake.
absolutely. No, and these agents are being, like you said, tied into important business functions, like being able to actually take, like I said in the hedge fund use case, maybe perform a prediction on a model, which will take whatever cost it takes to make that prediction, and then be able to perform a web search. So that's a different, function that it's been given access to. So it's been able to do each of these different pieces, and so that it's definitely a concern as to what is the limitations that are in place to prevent the system from doing something on its own. And I think with the AI gateway service that Databricks offers within Mosaic and the guardrails that we can implement there, that's always been a core. Like our when we start to build these solutions, our immediate question is, okay, what are the guardrails we need to have in place? And then that helps like basically sanitize the input that's coming in, and then the output and the actions that the model or the agent is actually doing.
Awesome. Okay, no, that makes sense. So I think Databricks talks about the AI judges and all those things. I assume those are some of the pieces you're leveraging too.
Exactly, yeah. I'm using that to evaluate some of the responses that are coming in and then help determine are we even building like a purpose-built agent that has that domain expertise on the data that it's leveraging.
Taking a step back out of stepping away from SEP, but just generally speaking, right?
Yeah.
What do you find the most promising thing when it comes to agents and AI? And where do you think that okay, the marketing is a little bit too out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that there's like an understanding that we can, a company can directly go from like the use case that they like the perfect dream use case that they have in mind for an agent to be used. Like that can be like the next step is just building that agent. And I think that no matter what we've done in the past, for any solution to be effective, for any solution to deliver that ROI that we've been talking about, it's been building that core data foundation in front of it. It's been, sophisticating the actions and different things that the agent would be even doing to like helping build that core like infrastructure and different connector pieces better. And then only through that, then even coming to that agent step has always been like the roadmap that we've seen. And I think a lot of it is also assessing well whether the use case that they want is to get half of that use case, is an agent the right solution? That's also another question where it's misconstrued as to uh we feel like now that that you have to go with an agent solution, that's the only option. But then there's also these different services, different uh I think a scale back in the AI hierarchy where depending on the use case, maybe just having one single purpose-built model around that use case would be better for the what it's trying to accomplish. Maybe, having the like just using a RAGs data set, even though it's been so overused, maybe that's still like the best use case and the best still cost per value than having some, autonomous agent that's going to decide what information it wants to use, but then end up coming back with the same answer that your RAG based LLM would have. So these are just like, I think it's part of it is making sure that the data that you're talking about that you want this agent to even work with is in place and structured and that data foundation is there. And the second thing is assess, well, do I really even want to build an agent? Cost per value, request per value, is that what's going to be beneficial? And if, based on both of those questions, then you can really decide what path you want to go forward.
Two key takeaways: have a steady, very good data foundation, and just as important, use the right tool for the right job, even if that tool ends up being some if dance inside Excel.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know how much of the latter, but
Yes,
exactly that.
yes, that's fair.